This man forced himself to push the drum 300 times, drinking 5 liters of water each time. Even though his face was red from suffocation, he still gritted his teeth. He persisted in not going to the toilet. The reason he had to torture himself was just to wait for the last chance to escape. Today, that chance had come. The prison breakfast was soy sauce. He asked his friend to get him a full plate. However, he did not rush to finish it all at once, because the important person had not appeared yet. At this moment, the prison warden came to check on the situation. Seeing that the opportunity was ripe, he started coughing violently. It sounded like there were 5 kilograms of phlegm in his throat. I felt something was wrong. Immediately after, he spat out all the soy sauce in his mouth in front of the warden. The other party was disgusted by this sudden scene. The warden quickly ordered someone to take him to the medical room. Through the doctor's diagnosis, it turned out that he had drunk it. Too much water, just need to rest for a day here. The first step of the escape plan is complete. The next step is the second step. Then he said that he needed to go to the female toilet. The doctor was afraid that he would encounter some unexpected incidents, so he took out a chamber pot and told him to just relieve himself right there. Please don't make me use this at this time. The inmate, who was always cleaning outside, spoke up, suggesting that they could take turns holding the axe. He went into the toilet, seeing that the female doctor had no choice but to agree. She didn't know that this was something the two of them had discussed before, then waited until they reached the toilet. The man took down from the roof a chisel that had been hidden before he prepared to use it to chisel open the tunnel gate. Here he didn't have to put any effort in and chiseled it open. The next thing was to restore the tunnel to its original state, then swaggered out. However, it wasn't over yet due to the fact that they hadn't left yet from this prison the day before, when the two of them were working at the wood shop. They took advantage of the moment when the warden was not paying attention and quietly used wood to make 2 boxes. Then, they fixed these 2 boxes to the bottom of the truck that was transporting goods out. Next, they just needed to lie inside. When the warden came to check with the mirror, he did not find any prisoners hiding under the truck. He did not hesitate to let the truck go. When the truck arrived at the place to buy goods, they took advantage of the moment when the driver left and quietly crawled out of the wooden box. There were accomplices in charge of supplying goods waiting there. At this time, in the prison, the prisoner saw that the man had gone to the toilet for a long time and had not returned yet. He felt that the opportunity was ripe, so he deliberately caused trouble with his black friend to create chaos. They caused chaos to attract the warden to suppress and control them. By doing so, the entire attention of the prison director would be focused here. He completely ignored the escaped man, and his next destination was the racetrack. But they weren't there to watch the races. They were there to steal the safe. At first, the man didn't want to agree because he was long retired and only a few months away from being released from prison. He also had $90 million in savings hidden in his yard, so there was no need to risk it. The inmate told him that the money in his yard had been dug up by his younger brother a long time ago. Now even his younger brother couldn't find it. There was no other way to have a good life after being released from prison. He had to take on this mission to help this man escape. The long-haired man deliberately drove into the supermarket and stole 2 packs of instant noodles. He was then sentenced to 90 days in prison by the judge and detained in this prison. So far, the plan has been carried out very successfully, but after getting the money, they still had to think of a way to get back to prison. Therefore, time was very urgent to clarify the structure of the safe. The other 2 inmates used the name of an anonymous sender to send a cake to the female employee. Then, they deliberately damaged her car like that. She had no way to drive home, so she had to leave the cake at the office. Next, the 2 disguised themselves as repairmen and infiltrated, crawled under the safe and poured all the snakes that had been caught earlier into the pipe very quickly. Then these worms followed the scent and found the cake successfully. There was no other way. The woman had to invite an insect expert, and they could take that opportunity to quietly blend, and then they understood the structure of the safe and at the same time conveniently got the password of the main door. Then they used a public phone to inform the man to take advantage of this password. They could very easily enter the basement. After completing all of this, they went to the station and used a homemade bomb made from a can to detonate it like that. When the audience bet, they would no longer be able to use the card machine but could only use cash to bet. Although the firemen arrived at the station in time, but it certainly could not be repaired immediately, so before the station was repaired, more cash would be deposited into the safe through the pipe very quickly. Then inside the safe was filled with cash up to tens of millions of dollars. At this time, the man also went to school to joke, but he don't rush in and run to the grocery store to buy beer. Would you spend another $10 to buy 2 more bottles? Of course, he wanted to. The companion saw this and was very confused about what the beer was for, but he immediately bought 2 more packs of marshmallows. After buying those things, the long-haired guy immediately led him to the front door of the beach. He was a little suspicious of what he was doing here. Something was rolling down below. What the hell was he doing? Before he could react, he was thrown down by the long-haired guy. It turned out that this place could lead straight to the basement. At this time, the race above had also begun. Everyone's attention was completely drawn. No one noticed that someone was looking at the safe because they knew the way, so they were very fast. When they reached the bottom of the safe, the long-haired guy's brother was already waiting there. Next, he gave him a water eraser and a plastic bag. Both brothers were very confused. Could it be that they could open the safe door just by relying on these things? In the doubtful eyes of the 2 people, he poured the marshmallows and erasers into the plastic bag. Finally, he tightened the mouth of the bag and handed the bottle to me. Wait, just like this. Can we trust this bottle? Although he didn't understand anything, the long-haired guy still handed him the tube. At this time, the bride who turned her hat finally couldn't hold it in anymore and asked, "Mixing these things, can it explode the safe's pipe?" This was the first time he heard that marshmallows could be used to make bombs. No matter how the other man tried to explain, he still didn't understand. So, very quickly, the two of them argued about safety. We can't bring ordinary bombs in here now. To succeed, we need potassium chlorate. The eraser is pure potassium chlorate. Cane sugar combined with potassium chlorate will produce 2 gases and 1 solid. Now he just needs to add a little more heat to create the energy that means explosion. Although the other two did not understand very well, they could only do as he said. Immediately after, the man put the plastic bag into the bottle. Then, he put the bottle into the money transport pipe inside, which was filled with heat. But they waited for a long time, but still did not hear any explosion. Soon, the pearl was returned intact. The pearl almost hit the long-haired guy. Fortunately, he caught it in time. But he didn't dare to move, because this thing could explode at any time. The man carefully picked it up and saw that he was about to open the bottle cap. So the two brothers quickly dodged to the side. I had tightened the bag too much. Immediately afterward, he adjusted the tightness of the bag and put the bag back on the bottle. Next, he quickly stuffed the bottle into the pipe. Then, under the effect of heat, the bottle exploded violently. The pipe also exploded successfully. Not long after, a large amount of smoke flew into the dining room. The waiter thought there was a fire somewhere, so he called the control center. But the control center didn't hear any fire alarms. However, to be safe, they still decided to send someone to check. At this time, on the other side, the robbers had already started using a high-powered vacuum cleaner to suck the money out of the pipe. In a short while, a lot of money had flowed out of the trash can. Seeing that the amount of money flowing out was getting less and less, the robbers immediately increased the suction power. Unexpectedly, because they were not holding it tightly, the money in the pipe fell all over the floor. With no other choice, they had to change the direction of the vacuum cleaner to prepare to suck the money. But at this moment, an unexpected incident occurred. The long-haired man's prosthetic arm was accidentally sucked in, causing the pipe to become clogged. But it was too late, and arguing further was useless. The urgent matter now was to quickly fix the vacuum cleaner. However, he had been using this prosthetic arm for nearly 10 years. When he saw it, the long-haired man acted as if his arm was still there. No matter what, he wanted to take it out for the sake of the whole plan. As the older brother, the bride had no choice but to advise her younger brother. He promised that he would buy his younger brother a solid gold arm in the future. Seeing this, the long-haired guy had no choice but to obediently agree very quickly. After that, a large amount of cash was put into their trash bag and taken out. Who would have thought that as soon as they turned the corner, they would encounter security guards checking on the two of them? They didn't seem to panic at all. They said that they were going to take out the trash. Then, the security guard asked them if they smelled smoke. No, because we lost our sense of smell when we were young. Who would have thought that the security guard would believe such an absurd reason? He didn't hesitate to let them go. The two of them were lucky to escape death by a hair's breadth. But as soon as they reached the main door, an unexpected incident occurred. For some reason, the door suddenly malfunctioned and couldn't be opened properly. At this time, on the other side, the man was still checking the remaining money. The two security guards were walking in that direction. If they were discovered, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, this did not make it difficult for the clever robbers. One of the two accomplices deliberately hid in the racing car repair room to smoke, not only successfully attracting their attention, but also successfully directing the investigation. Theirs was with him like that no one thought that the smoke was caused by the explosion earlier. Now the remaining money was packed, but the two people in charge of the transport still hadn't returned it. The man waited until he lost his patience, so he ran to check. Now every moment of delay meant increased danger. The race above could end at any moment. By then the staff would definitely come to check the safe on the side. The accomplice who was smoking was just about to leave, suddenly saw the man running. There had no other choice. He had to continue arguing with the security staff to stall for time until the man ran over. He only saw the two of them standing there dumbfounded, not knowing what to do. But even if he came, the result was still the same no matter how they turned the iron door switch. This door still couldn't be opened. He couldn't think of any solution at this moment. On the other side, the bride turned her hat, seeing the man still didn't turn back, finally couldn't sit still anymore. He ran towards the main door, but coincidentally, he happened to meet two security guards. Do you smell smoke? No smoke. I just smell the exhaust of racing cars. Just like that, he successfully avoided the inspection and arrived. His accomplices will pull him out of the way. Turns out the chain is stuck. The delivery man continued walking while the other two returned to the safe. The long-haired man was still looking for his arm, but now their time was pressing. Even the chin-strap man's sister couldn't help but join in. After a while of searching, he finally found his brother's prosthetic arm. After putting the money in the box, he wiped off the chemical formula that the man had written on the wall. Then, he reconnected the pipes of the safe. Next, he wiped off the fingerprints on it. He did every step very meticulously and carefully. Wherever they touched, he carefully wiped it over and over again, just in case the police found it later. However, the money they brought out would not be taken away immediately, but would be marked one by one and buried in the safe. They would wait until the race was over before digging it up. The remaining problem was how to quietly send the man back to prison. However, they found a way. This solution required the help of fellow inmates in the prison. First, they used sesame oil to cover all the cameras. Then, they used rice trays and aluminum foil to seal the windows. The main purpose was to prevent the prison guards from seeing the situation inside. They waited until the match on TV was almost over. The man's plan to return officially began. Only one prisoner was seen taking the metal rod from the prison guard's body. Then, he wrapped the needle in a tissue and plugged it into an electrical outlet to light it. There was a fire. Finally, he used this flame to trigger the fire alarm in the dining room. Although the prison guard was very angry, To prevent the prisoners inside from encountering any unexpected incidents, he still called the prison fire department. At this time, the man and the long-haired man disguised as firefighters were already waiting there. When the fire truck arrived, they quietly took the opportunity to get in. They followed the Huang Road fire truck back to the prison and waited until the others got off. They took this opportunity to secretly get out of the car. Then, they quietly returned to the infirmary just as the extremely nervous firefighters rushed to the scene of the fire and discovered that this was just a farce by the prisoners. However, they still tried to suppress their anger and symbolically sprayed the trash can with a fire extinguisher. When the female doctor came to the infirmary to check, the man was already lying obediently on the bed. She could not believe that in just a few short hours, he had run out to complete a world-shaking robbery. Although the people from the investigation department arrived at the scene in time, it was too late. No clues were found at the scene. Tens of millions of dollars just disappeared without a trace. However, they still had a witness. A race car driver who had a grudge against the long-haired man. He and his colleagues happened to see the two of them running away in the underground tunnel. As a result, he was beaten by them. Upon receiving this news, the investigator immediately launched an investigation. That is, calling the prison director like that. The director knew very well that once the incident in the prison was exposed, he would most likely lose his job. So he hid the story of the prisoner riot from the investigator. He said that the man had always been in prison and could not escape. The investigator did not know who to believe. The case was temporarily suspended. But soon, something even stranger happened. After leaving, the bride returned and drove the money to the gas station. A few minutes later, she reported it to the police, causing the police to successfully recover $20 million. After finishing everything, he quietly left. After the owner of the racetrack got the money back, he asked the insurance company to compensate him $100 million. Not long after, the long-haired guy was released from prison. Just when he thought he could use the money to live a life of luxury, his sister brought him bad news. Their brother was missing. Moreover, he had also returned the $20 million in tickets to the racetrack. On the other hand, this man's life in prison was not easy. Last time, he sprayed the director all over, so he always held a grudge in his heart. He not only insulted the man, but also beat him. In the end, he locked him in a solitary confinement cell. However, he was not angry at all. On the contrary, he was very happy that he was about to be released from prison. After being released, he rushed to find the long-haired guy. Who would have thought that the long-haired guy would tell him that his brother was missing? Moreover, he also returned the ticket money to the owner of the racecourse. Unexpectedly, he was busy all day. In the end, he worked for free, but he could only suppress the reluctance in his heart and return home. Just when he didn't know how he would live the next few days, there was suddenly a loud knock on the door. But when he opened the door and went out, there was no one outside. Only a fork placed in the hallway. He thought that this was someone's joke. He was just about to turn around and go home. Suddenly, he thought of something. So he immediately picked up the fork and went into his yard. Without saying a word, he started digging. Unexpectedly, there were several bags of money hidden underneath. A total of $5 million. It turned out that the iron door had been deliberately damaged by the man in the bearded hat. The main purpose was to distract the man and his accomplices, giving his sister a chance to sneak in. Then, she took advantage of the 10 minutes to take away another $20 million from the safe. This $20 million was buried by him. After finding an opportunity, he dug it up again and then divided the money among everyone. Not long after, the prisoner in charge of causing chaos in the prison was also released from prison. He saw a luxury car waiting there. The car was full of a bag of money. Even the fat woman in charge of managing the safe received a very quick compensation. After that, a year passed. The investigators still could not find out the truth about this robbery. Not long after, the owner of the racetrack withdrew the lawsuit. In the end, the one who suffered was the insurance company. In the daughter-in-law's house, there was a piece of paper posted. On it were written 10 rules of the robber family, one of which was not to be greedy. A good movie does not stop at the story it tells, but also in the emotions and thoughts that linger in the hearts of every viewer. What do you think about this movie? What impressed you the most? Please share with us in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to explore more meaningful movies and interesting perspectives. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.